So what is that on your wrist? I thought you didn't like those activity monitors.
Yes, so this is sort of a knockoff Fitbit.
Okay.
We had this conversation when I was out visiting in May.
Right.
Kind of, do we track our exercise? Do we track our steps? That sort of thing. And I personally never really like to, just because I am active. I don't think it's an issue for me. And I get fixated upon that number, and maybe I think, oh, I'm not doing good enough, even though I've already ran 5 miles in the morning and got my 10,000 steps. But this summer, I was curious because I did a lot of trail running, and I wanted to know how long I was running and what that trail was, just so I could beat my own time the next time around. So I got it for that reason, but it became an obsession again. So I stopped wearing it. But I thought I'd bring it to Colorado because I knew that we were going to be hiking, and I was curious for how long our hikes would be.
Right.
But this one, I wanted to find one that didn't have the calorie count on it, because that's what becomes the obsession for me, is when it shows me how many calories I've burned.
Right.
Because I think I haven't burned enough calories for the day, or I've only burned 300, I need to burn 1,000, not realizing and remembering, well, hello, we're burning calories just to survive our daily bodies, right?
Right. So with all the different devices out there and all the different activity trackers, I do think that the ones on your phone are really beneficial for steps, or even for hiking. However, sometimes, have you ever found that they drain your battery and totally suck the juice out of your phone?
Yeah, so I've noticed that, as well as they're not all the same. So I never really know exactly how far I've gone. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed that as well. I wonder if it loses signal occasionally. And sometimes I feel like I've hiked way farther than what my mileage or step counter is saying. So I think sometimes it loses track of it or doesn't count it correctly. And I've also, on the other end, had clients say that they've been able to like throw the ball for their dog, and it's still counting steps even though they're not moving their feet. So
yeah,
I think sometimes there are inaccuracies with these types of monitors and devices. I had one that was really interesting. It just tracked like heart rate for physical activity, and it tied me back into that community that I love and have referenced earlier in our previous podcast. But it tied me back into a community of other members at the gym, and I found it was really cool to be able to still track my activity when away from the gym. But I also found, similar to you, that it was becoming a little bit compulsive, and on days where my body was telling me it was tired, then I felt like I needed to get up and push it just so that I could be on that competitive edge of that team.
Yeah, and I think that was something that we had talked about earlier too, right? And I was going to ask you, because last time I was out here, you even wore the heart monitor on a hike that we went on.
I did, yeah, and it was because I was in competition with a couple other people at this gym that I go to, and I thought to myself, like, not only did I have to think about packing it, which is fine, but I also felt like I wasn't really necessarily always enjoying my activity, which for me, the reason why I'm active has a lot more to do with like mental health and just being able to push my body to different limits than just focusing on a calorie burn. I don't know, what about you? Why do you stay physically active?
Yeah, I think, again, for me, it's the same reason. It just keeps me sane. It's my meditation, essentially. It's that one time in the day that I'm completely present and connected to just me. I'm not thinking about all my to-do lists for the day. I'm not worried about something that happened to me previously. I'm right there in the moment, completely zoned in.
Well, and when you're breathless, that's really all you can think about, is that one task that you're doing. I know some people have a hard time getting there. So what do you recommend for people who don't like activity or who find themselves sedentary at their workspace? Do you feel like there's any benefit for them to be wearing activity devices?
I think with the activity devices, it depends on your personality, right? Because some of us need that for that motivation, but then others, it might become that compulsive device that you just can't get enough of. So you're forcing yourself to go out when really you've already gotten plenty of activity in. I think that a good alternative is for people to maybe set a reminder on their phone every hour. Just get up and go for a little walk around your building, or go up and down the stairs if you live upstairs or work in a building with a couple stairs. Just move your body every hour. There's a lot of new research referencing, which I'm not sure if you've read any of it, about how sitting is the new smoking.
Right.
And they're really encouraging people to walk every hour, and that even just having a standing desk is not going to get the benefit.
Right. Actually, I know a lot of companies that invested in standing desks, and although they may be more ergonomic for us to not
Yeah.
just be seated all day long, they're not helping us to physically burn calories. It's kind of like the stability ball. It may help you to engage your core and using that as a chair versus a regular chair. But movement is really important and primary for our body. And so finding something you enjoy doing and want to look forward to doing, and maybe even a workout buddy, i.e. Brittany, is really crucially beneficial, I think, for any long-term benefit.
Yeah, and so let's kind of circle back to that conversation about competitiveness, because I think you and I, we've hiked together, we've run together, we've done CrossFit together, and I think we both do a good job of pushing each other, but in a good competition way. I never feel bad about myself around you.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Well, I think earlier today we demonstrated your rock climbing skills, and that was a good encouragement for me to also have billy goat hooves on my feet. But I didn't feel like I had to do it. It was just something that was an encouragement. And so whenever you're feeling, personally, whenever I'm feeling pressure to the point of like it could be dangerous or harmful, or to the point of even feeling like I don't know if I physically can, personally for me it's almost a deterrent. But if I feel something can be accomplished and there's maybe a reward at the end, then it's probably worth it. And I think it's different for everybody, but looking outside the box a little bit and finding what your competitiveness can be, it's not just about calorie burn, it may be about something else.
Yeah. I think being in competition with yourself too is huge, and the fact that stop comparing yourself to other people, because we are all uniquely designed and that we are going to have different body types, and that's okay. And I think it's important that as long as you're competing with yourself and creating your best self, that's really the competition that we want. And then of course those healthy competitions with group friends, group fitness, people who are like-minded, where you do feel comfortable with them and pushing each other.
Right. So, I mean, something that I have done that was a competitive team thing that I thought was fun was doing like a pull-up challenge. And personally, I wasn't great at pull-ups, so those were kind of intimidating.
They're a
But
little hard.
yeah, they got easier over time. So practicing things also makes you more confident in them. And as I always tell my daughter, and my mom always told me, practice makes perfect. Let me tell you, it's not actually perfect, but it does improve and it makes you a little bit more confident. So I think over time, focusing on your confidence, especially as females, is really important versus on the critic that we so often have in our own heads.
And I think that's the perfect end note there.